Hello again, everybody, and welcome to yet another collection video. This time we're going to be taking a look at my Sega Dreamcast collection. This is a little bit bigger collection than the last few. Sega Dreamcast is sort of I don't think guilty pleasure is the right term for it, but much like the N64, I think I built up my love for both the N64 and the Dreamcast on a lot of the hype and a lot of the promo and stuff in the mid to late 90s when I was out on my own and I was spending money on video games and really indulging myself in it. And when these consoles came out and specific games came out for them, I think it really inflated my opinion of them. But I still love the Dreamcast and the N64, despite the fact that for me they're really only about certain games. Like the N64 was really about Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time, and then somewhat things like Star Wars Rogue Squadron and GoldenEye, 007, stuff like that. The Dreamcast, of course, was mainly a big thing for me because of Shenmue and a few other little games, of which we'll see in my collection, as well as a bunch of other games that really I just kind of picked up along the way because they were cheap or they just looked interesting. There's way too many games in this collection than what I have actually, or there's way too many games in this collection that I haven't really played or haven't played at all. Anyway, let's jump right on in to the games. We start out with Demolition Racer No Exit, which is a game that I have played, and it actually is really, really good. It reminded me a lot of the Destruction Derby games from the PS1, and has a mix of like racing and Demolition Derby style stuff going on in it. Really cool game. It is sad that people don't realize just how graphically powered the Dreamcast was when they compare it to PS2 and GameCube and Xbox. It really did compete quite well. Because of it being the first one out of the gate, I think a lot of people still try to compare it to the PS1 and the N64, of which obviously it would blow them away, but they don't think about it in the same league as PS2 and Xbox and GameCube, which is a shame, because it was a really good system in terms of graphics. My next one here is Dragon Riders Chronicle of Pern. All I can tell you about this one is that I either bought it or rented it back in the day and played it, and I found it really, really interesting. But when I got rid of all my Dreamcast stuff the first time around, and then reacquired a Dreamcast years ago, I didn't think about this game like right away. It took me a while before I was able to pick it up again, but I haven't played it since I reacquired it, so it deserves to be checked out to see if it really is as cool as I remembered it. Next we have Echo the Dolphin, and this is Defender of the Future. Now, I'm not very familiar with the series other than knowing that one existed, but when I played this one, when I bought it like 2 years ago, I was blown away. It's just a really cool game. The graphics are amazing, the underwater, everything about it, the water and the swimming and the other sea life is just really, really cool. Need to play it again sometime to see if I can remember what I was doing. Here's a really good game that I was really glad that I found. It's called Egg, or Elemental Gimmick Gear. And basically all I can say about this one is it was very much an attempt to create sort of like a Legend of Zelda game on the Dreamcast, like 16-bit type Legend of Zelda, but using the Dreamcast graphics to make something that looks even more amazing. All I did was kind of played like maybe 20 or 30 minutes of it to see exactly what it was like, but it was very, very cool. In my quest for acquiring RPG games from different consoles, I came across a lot of love for the Evolution games. This is the first Evolution game. This is from Ubisoft. This is Evolution: The World of Sacred Device. I read a lot of good things about it, and then of course I had to pick up Evolution 2. This is Far Off Promise. Just like I said in my Wii and GameCube ones, I just hope that they're decent length games that are fun and not too difficult to complete. But hopefully they give me hours and hours of fun and enjoyment. This is probably one of my most recent Dreamcast purchases. This is Flowin Brothers, Episode 1. It was a series that was apparently going to go more than just the single game, but it didn't. This was as far as it went. But it's quirky, it's cartoony looking, and there's a couple other games, at least one particular game in the Dreamcast that I'm hoping that this is somewhat similar to. Next up here we have Grandia 2. If you saw my favorite games series installment about the original Grandia, you'll know that this really doesn't have anything to do with it, but I loved the first one so much, I was like, I have to have the second game, and I believe it's also available on the PS2, which I don't have that copy of, but I'll get at some point, and there's other games too. I think I've only played that just a little bit. It's not like the first one, but it doesn't mean that it's not good. Now here's a game that I fell in love with back on the PlayStation 1, and it's a very weird series, and because of the way this one ends, if anybody's familiar with this game, Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver, you know that this game was basically unfinished and was meant to go longer, and for whatever reason, I don't remember now if it was budget concerns or what it was, the game just kind of ends, and then you had to go and play the next game. But for what this one was, it was really, really awesome. I have the Dreamcast version for posterity, really, but it does look a little bit better graphically. Next game up that we have is Maken X, or Maken X, probably Maken. I played a little bit of this. It was actually kind of cool. It's first person with like swords and blades and whatnot, but a lot of cyberpunkish type stuff in it. It was fun. I didn't play it for very long, but it was enough to whet my appetite a bit. Now we have one of these Activision Extreme Sports games that I got into back in the 90s, of course led by Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, but this is Matt Hoffman's Pro BMX, which is a BMX game obviously, but it's done in much the same way as the Tony Hawk games. Really enjoy this one, and main thing is the soundtrack on these games are always amazing. And we have a couple of the obligatory sports games, Sega Sports NBA 2K1. Can't really tell you if I've played this one. I don't recall if I've played the NBA one, but I have played NFL 2K1. Back in the day, this was the series. The Sega, the 2K games basically were the games to play sports-wise, even better than Madden, better than the Game Day series. I used to have a heck of a lot of fun on these NFL games due to the fact that after the plays were over, you could still control your character, even though you'd already see the play screen, and you'd see up in the top corner, it would look like TV-style presentation of all the guys coming back to the huddle. You could still tackle and dive and crash into people for a little bit of time, and you could hurt other players and take them out of the game that way, even though sometimes you would get penalized for it, which is, you know, justified that you would get it. Anyway, I love those games all the way up to the 2K5 game for PS2, and then the 2K series went away, which was sad. Anyway, the next game up is Omicron: The Nomad Soul. This game itself, in my opinion, is really, really ambitious, but it's very, very difficult to tell what you're doing in it. It was for me anyway. But the thing to be said by this, or about this, is that it was done by David Cage. I believe that's his name. Anyway, he was the guy who would go on to do the games Fahrenheit, also known as Indigo Prophecy, Heavy Rain, and Beyond Two Souls that came out just last year. This was like the first game from that particular gentleman, and I've always been interested in it. Plus, it also has not only music from, but voice acting and motion capture work done by David Bowie. It's kind of, I guess that's supposed to be him right there. Okay, the next game I got here is called Ooga Booga. I don't know anything about this game. It's a sealed copy. I won it in a subscriber contest. from a guy named PC Wizard 13. I won one of his subscriber contests. He's got a really awesome channel. I think I covered this in a unboxing video from another subscriber contest that I won. But this was my prize from that, and it's supposed to be a pretty fun game. As you can see, though, I haven't opened it and given it a shot, but I enjoy having unopened games in my collection from time to time. Next game up is Seaman, and I did a unique games installment on this game, so you can look through my videos and click on that one to see a little bit more about this. I'm not going to take everything out of the package, but this is sort of like if you have a Dreamcast, you owe it to yourself to pick up this bizarre little game here. Alright, this here is the Sega Smash Pack Volume 1, and as far as I remember, it ended up being the only volume of this. It came out near the end of the Dreamcast lifespan, and basically it's just a big collection of a bunch of old Sega games. Vector Man, Altered Beast, Revenge of Shinobi, Streets of Rage 2, Shining Force, Sonic the Hedgehog. Just one of those compilations that you always see come out on the consoles, you know, highlighting some classic games. Here's one of my favorite kind of horror-like games, survival horror maybe you would call it, but it's Shadowman. This one also came out on the PS1 if I remember correctly, but it's I back in the day I used to describe these games like this as Tomb Raider with horror involved, because it's like a third-person action game and you can hack and slash and kill the creatures, and it has a supernatural type story. It's fun. Then here is the game, the Dreamcast game, Shenmue. I did a favorite games installment about this game. You can check that out if you want. But this is the game to have if you have a Dreamcast. This is like the game that should make a person want to buy a Dreamcast. Great game. I've played it and beat it like 3 or 4 times over the years, I believe it is. I was in the middle of a playthrough of it last year. It's been about a year since I've tinkered with it. I need to get back to it though and finish it off because I have the second game for Xbox. Here we have a game called Silver, and this is, I really wanted to check this game out when I first read about it. And I played it for a little while one day, and it was pretty fun. You probably won't be able to tell very well from these pictures on the back here, but the camera angle on this is so far away from the action that that's probably my only complaint. It was really hard to feel like you were in the game because of how far away from the action you were. But otherwise, it was pretty cool. I was enjoying the story so far. I can't remember where I got this, but this is a disc-only copy of Sonic Adventure. I think it was maybe a throw-in on an eBay purchase that I made. And I'm not a big fan of disc-only stuff, but it was, you know, they told me I could have something, so I picked Sonic Adventure because Sonic Adventure is a pretty cool game. Alright, next up we've got Star Wars Episode 1 Racer. I know that this game is on other consoles like the N64. I chose the Dreamcast version simply because I figured it was probably going to be the best looking version of the game, but I haven't popped it in and given it a shot yet. Let me move these games around here because I'm afraid I'm going to start stacking them up in front of the camera. Okay, this is the game I was talking about earlier when I showed off Flowin Brothers. Excuse me. I'm hoping that Logan Brothers is as fun and bizarre and stupid as Stupid Invaders. Stupid Invaders, the epic adventure of 5 incredibly stupid aliens. It's an Ubisoft game. It's been so long since I've played it. I'm hoping that I'm describing this right. It's kind of sort of a exploration adventure style game, maybe even a point and click, but I don't remember for sure. But a friend of mine named Dwight, who I used to work with like 15, 16 years ago, he was a big gamer himself, and he had arcade machines and consoles and everything. And I had a Dreamcast at the time, and he let me borrow this game, and I was blown away by how silly it was and how funny it is. It's just the best thing going about this game is its sense of humor. It can be tough at times, and if I remember right, there was a lot of restarts and going back over things. But it was such a great experience that I tracked it down again a couple months back. It had been relatively expensive on eBay, but the prices had come down, so I was like, I snapped it up. Come down to the last few games here. This is, I'm probably not going to pronounce this right, but it's Suzuki Alstair Extreme Racing. It's a motorcycle racing game. I have not played this, but I picked it up because of Metal Jesus Rocks had a video about, I believe it was Dreamcast Hidden Gems, and this was on there, and I liked the look of the footage and stuff, and every once in a while a racing game catches my attention, and this was one. So I picked it up. Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six. This is a game that I have had almost, I'd say probably 12, 13 years. One of my oldest owned Dreamcast games. I bought it, I believe I bought it out of the Toys R Us, like a value bin for games, and the packaging was pretty messed up, but it was only like $5, so I picked it up, and then eventually I replaced the case. In the meantime, the first time I tried to play this, I hated it because it's very strategic. It's very like squad-based style games, and I just don't care for those. Alright, we jump real quick through a couple of Tomb Raider games. There's Tomb Raider The Last Revelation and Tomb Raider Chronicles. I have Dreamcast versions simply for the graphical upgrade. And then my last two games, this is an unopened copy of Typing of the Dead. And I'm going to show something here in a second that goes in with this. I'm just sad, personally for myself, that I haven't checked this out and played it. I'm not a big fan of the series that this comes from, which are light gun games. I just don't care for the light gun games. But this one here actually asks you to type with a keyboard words as they come up on the screen in order to kill the zombies and the monsters that are coming after you. And that was the thing that I thought was kind of cool. And like I said, I'll show you something here in just a moment that goes with it. But my last Dreamcast game is Vigilante 8 Second Offense. Big fan of the Vigilante 8 games and car combat games in general. I have the first game on the PlayStation 1, but I got the second one on the Dreamcast because, once again, you know, visual, graphical upgrades. So I got two special things to show off here real quick. First is my Game Shark video game enhancer light for the Dreamcast. I don't know if that light means anything in particular. This one is version 4.0. I just wanted a cheat code device for my Dreamcast. Like all my other consoles, I try to have one for it. And then the last thing I want to show, I thought about showing off my controllers or something like that. I've got like two Dreamcast controllers, but they're just regular. I've got a couple VMUs, like a blue one and a green one. And I actually have a dead Dreamcast sitting over on top of one of my shelves. It powers on, but it won't read any discs. So I have two Dreamcasts, two controllers, two VMUs. That's all kind of standard stuff. But this is the thing I wanted to show that pairs up with my Typing of the Dead. This is my Sega Dreamcast keyboard. See that big swatch across here? That was from the person I bought it on eBay, decided to put tape across the outside of the box. I don't know why people do stuff like that. And I had no patience to try to find some way to remedy that, so I just peeled it off slowly. It didn't do a whole lot of damage, but it's still pretty visible. But anyway, I bought that keyboard for the sake of Typing of the Dead. I don't know if you can use a regular keyboard, or if this one has a special, yeah, it has a special Dreamcast end on it, but there it is. I mean, it's used because I'm looking at from this side of things, and it's got some dirt and some scuff on it. But, whoo! And then I went ahead and just about pitched it in the floor. The keys all feel pretty nice, and anyway, it's just something that I wanted to have for the playing of Typing of the Dead. And it's cool. It's unusual. Alright guys, well that wraps it up. I want to put all this stuff back without dropping anything else again. So thanks a lot for watching, and I'm going to try to sit down and do one more collection video here before the day is out and have these up soon. So thanks for checking them out, and I'll see you in the next one.